Good evening, everybody. How are you today? My name is Michelle Putnam, and I'm the group travel manager here at AAA Minneapolis. And I hope everybody's having a good evening. And thank you all for coming to our event tonight on our President's Tour for 2024 to Japan. So we're really excited about it. Tonight, you're going to have a really great presentation on the trip you have in front of you. Hopefully, you all have the brochure. It's November 1st to the 12th, and we're going to talk about what you're going to see in Japan. We'll talk a little bit about the hotels and answer, hopefully you guys have some questions possibly at the end of the presentation. So, and we're really excited tonight because we have Pablo here, Pablo Square, and he's from JTB, which is the Japanese Tourism Board, and he's actually going to be here to doing the presentation for us tonight. And I think you're going to find it really informative. And we're hopefully that you'll be interested in traveling with us on the President's Tour. So with that, we have a lot of information to get started with, and we'll get started. So
thank you, Michelle. Thank you very much. Again, my name is Pavel Sever. I'm with JTB, Japan Travel Bureau USA, based in Chicago. Nice to be back in Minneapolis. It's been a while for me. Always a pleasure to be here, and thank you again for being so. In my presentation, we'll talk about the trip. We'll talk about the highlights. I'll introduce some information about Japan, about traveling to Japan. My understanding is that how many of you have been to Japan? Okay, so we have quite a few people who've been to Japan, and I'll also introduce some perhaps new interesting areas of the country. And again, I'll be happy to hopefully answer any questions you might have regarding Japan. So let's get started, and thank you very much, Mr. Kim, and thank you, Michelle, for partnering up with us. We did a few trips before, right, a few years ago, and we really appreciate the invitation, and thank you for having me here today. So as Michelle mentioned, the trip will take place in November. And November, I have to tell you, November is one of the best months to travel to Japan. It is, I'll talk about it in a few minutes, but it's one of the best times to visit the country. The weather is nice, it's comfortable, it's not hot, humid, it's very pleasant, and then you'll have a chance to maybe see some changing colors, especially if you go to like the northern part of Japan, which is actually included, and we'll talk about it shortly. But before we start, let me briefly talk about JTB. As mentioned earlier, JTB stands for Japan Travel Bureau. JTB is actually the oldest Japanese travel company. It used to be part of the government of Japan. The company was later privatized. We are a private company now. And we've been in business since 1912. That's when JTB was originally established. And the goal for establishing JTB was to attract foreign tourism to Japan. So it's a company with a lot of traditions. The U.S. subsidiary of the JTB Group, JTB USA, we've been in the U.S. for almost 59 years. So JTB is the #1 destination management company in Japan and also in North America. The company is based, the U.S. subsidiary is based in Los Angeles. And some brief information about introduction about Japan. Japan consists of 4 main islands: Hokkaido, Honshu, Shikoku, Kyushu, and about 4,000 smaller islands, including Okinawa. The country can be visited and enjoyed at any time of the year. However, spring, from like March to May, and autumn, especially October and November, are the best times to visit. So again, you will have a chance to travel to Japan, hopefully travel to Japan in November, which is one of the best times for visiting the country. Some price-conscious clients can also choose to travel like during the winter months, especially from like January to maybe February, but it can get cold. There is snow in Japan, even in Tokyo or Kyoto, but then it's a good way maybe to avoid the crowds. It is possible. There are some travel peak seasons while traveling in Japan, and we don't recommend going to the country during that time. One of the most, the busiest domestic travel peaks is called Golden Week. It's a series of holidays that take place in Japan from end of April, beginning of May. There is a lot of domestic travel during that time. Another busy time is in August, second part of August. There is a festival. It's an Obon festival, so a lot of domestic travel as well. Most people who travel to the country will visit the so-called Golden Route. So they travel to Tokyo, they go to Hakone, Kyoto, Osaka, Hiroshima. The tour that we will talk about in a few minutes also includes some of the highlights, but you will also have a chance to go to like northern part of Japan, to the Tohoku region, because we have part of the itinerary covers actually an area north of Nikko. So I'll introduce some specific information about that in just a few minutes. A few facts about Japan. Japan sits within the same time zone, and there is no daylight saving in Japan. The country is 9 hours ahead of GMT. So speaking of Minneapolis, Japan is plus 15 hours. And same in Chicago, same time zone. The currency in Japan is yen, used throughout the country. And you can exchange foreign money into Japanese yen at most major banks, some post offices as well. And as of yesterday, $1 equals 145 yen. It's a very, very good exchange rate. Let me say that. It's the best exchange rate in probably the last, I would say, 10, 15 years. So everything has become much more affordable in Japan. Hopefully by the time you travel, the exchange rate will be as good or even better. But again, prices have gone down. It's a really good time, especially traveling from the US to Japan. It's much more affordable. I talk to people all the time, and they're like amazed. They remember Japan from say 5-10 years ago when prices were skyrocketing. Now it's a completely different story. Credit cards, Japan is still a cash-based society for the most part. So we always recommend to carry some cash with you, especially if you go to some maybe rural areas of the country, or you go to like maybe some ramen shops or smaller stores. But credit cards are also widely accepted. One thing you should remember, if you have Discover card, it's not a good card for Japan, because most places in Japan will not accept Discover. But other cards, especially Visa, American Express, MasterCard, are widely available, widely accepted. And a very good news, there's no tipping in Japan. In most places you travel to, whether it's Europe, China, other Asian destinations, people expect to be tipped. Not in Japan. As a matter of fact, people might get offended if you try to tip them in Japan. If you go to a restaurant and you try to tip your waiter, your staff, they will be like, no, sorry, we cannot take it. So whatever prices you see will be the prices you'll pay, no tipping. There are some instances in Japan, if you go to like a nice ryokan, occasionally people will leave, some small amount for the person taking care of your room. But other than that, there's no tipping in the country. Here is the famous bullet train. That's one of the highlights. If you travel to Japan, I've been to Japan many, many times, and let me tell you, I feel like a little boy when I go back and I get on the bullet train. It's an experience. Now, if you consider that 70% of Japan's land consists of mountains, right? So, and it's a fairly small country. There are many mountains, many tunnels in the mountains. You get on the bullet train in Japan, you place your drink on the table, and I guarantee it will not spill. You will not lose your cell phone reception, even if you're in the tunnel. It will work. It's super, super efficient. Japan is also one of the safest countries. I'm sure those of you who've been to the country can will agree with this statement. It's one of the safest countries. People who travel to Japan, people who are well-traveled, who've been places, they're always shocked to find out how polite the people are, how safe it is. Even like as a female walking the streets of Tokyo, Kyoto, Osaka at nighttime, you will be perfectly safe. And people will go out of their way to help you. So that's another thing about Japan. I remember my trip to Japan, the very first trip to Japan. I'm not going to tell you when it happened. It was a long, long time ago. My wife and I, we happened to be in Shinjuku. Actually, it's one of the places that you will be able to visit. Shinjuku is home to the busiest train station in Japan, in the entire country of Japan. And, well, when we were in the States, we were like, oh, well, we're from Europe, we're familiar with trains, right? There's no problem. Well, not in Japan, right? There's so many trains. It's actually quite complicated. So, we were struggling, and then there were like people who actually went out of their way to show us. And it's a very kind of humbling experience when you see this. And one of the things that when you do sign up for the trip, we will be using first class bullet train tickets. Now let's briefly talk about the trip highlights. That's, by the way, Mount Fuji. The picture that you're looking at is Mount Fuji, the sacred mountain, UNESCO World Heritage Site. One of the highlights will be a special welcome dinner in Kyoto. This is actually a picture of the room where the reception will take place. It will be a special dinner with Geiko and Maiko performance. Geiko in Kyoto dialect means geisha. Maiko is a geisha apprentice. And we will also have a jikata player. The jikata player is a trained geisha playing like different instruments. So it's a very, very unique experience. And because of our connections, we are able to provide a very authentic experience. Many places you visit in Japan, people will advertise, well, come and see a geisha, right? But they're not real geisha. In order to book a real geisha, you have to have a connection. You have to have, a relationship with them. And by the way, here is a picture of. I actually took these pictures in Japan a few years ago. She's a Maiko. How can you tell the difference? Does anybody know how you can tell the difference between a geisha and a geisha apprentice? If you don't, I'll answer that question. She's a geisha. She's a Maiko. Maiko will wear a more colorful kimono. Geisha, she will have a very, very very elegant, but a simpler dress because she's more mature. That's typically the difference. But it's an amazing experience. Another special feature will be a Zen meditation in Kyoto. This will take place in the Arashiyama area. This is the western part of Kyoto. You will visit the temple, but you will also be able to participate in this Zen meditation. It's a very, very fascinating experience. We will have a green tea ceremony with wagashi tasting in Miyajima. Wagashi in Japan refers to the sweets that are being served with green tea. So this is also, well, first of all, Miyajima Island is a unique place. It's off the coast of Hiroshima. So the place itself is very spiritual. And green tea in Japan, in Japanese culture, is one of the most important rituals. So combining the two will make for a very, very special experience. Also, you will have a chance to participate in the sushi cooking experience in Tokyo. You will learn how to make sushi, and then you will enjoy your own creations for lunch. And let's also mention a few words about the places, the actual cities, places that you will have a chance to visit. Kyoto, it's absolutely one of the highlights of Japan. Kyoto served as Japan's capital and the emperor's residence from 794 until 1868. Then the capital was moved to Tokyo. It is one of Japan's 10 largest cities with 1.5 million inhabitants. Now, Kyoto was spared. Kyoto was actually on the list to be bombed during the Second World War, but it was spared because of its cultural importance. So Kyoto has not been destroyed during the war. Anything you see in Kyoto will be in its original state. It's a very modern city, and at the same time, anywhere you look, you will see thousands of temples. Kyoto is actually over 1,200 temples with green, dry gardens, rock gardens. It's an amazing place for you to visit. And I guarantee you can go to Kyoto 10 times and you will not be able to see everything. It takes many more trips. It's a very unique place. This is also Kyoto and the areas surrounding Kyoto. The picture on the left-hand side represents Sagano Bamboo Grove in Arashiyama. That's where Ryoanji Temple is. Tenryuji Temple is located, where the Zen meditation experience will also take place. Then you see Nijo Castle. This was built as the residence of Ieyasu Tokugawa. He was the shogun who united Japan, unified the country, and ensured a prosperous 200 years as a result of his actions. And lastly, you see the picture at the bottom is Ryoanji Temple in Arashiyama with its famous rock garden. Hiroshima, Miyajima, you will also visit these places. Hiroshima is a very nice city. It's a smaller city than Tokyo and Kyoto. It's more kind of calm, peaceful, but very unique in many ways. You will visit Shukeien Garden. That's the picture on the left-hand side. It can be translated as a shrunken scenery garden. This garden has a long history dating back to 1620. Then you will also see Itsukushima Shrine. Those of you who have not been to Japan, you probably saw this picture. This is the picture I'm referring to. It's the famous Itsukushima Shrine on Miyajima Island. It's a very famous place. It's called the floating torii gate, especially during like the high tide. When you look at the temple and the torii gate, it looks like as if it's flowing in the water. So it's a very, very, very nice site. You will also visit Hiroshima Peace Museum and Hiroshima Castle. And Tokyo, Japan's capital, the world's most populous metropolis. Tokyo, it's an amazing city. Actually, there is no one central downtown area. Tokyo consists of like several downtown areas, several cities combined together. It's an amazing place. If you like good food, and who doesn't? I have to tell you that Tokyo has more Michelin-starred restaurants than Paris and New York City combined, year after year. I believe the first Michelin edition came out back in 2017, and back then already Tokyo had more Michelin-starred restaurants. And whether you're into like Japanese cuisine, Chinese cuisine, French, Thai, any type of Italian, you will find some of the best restaurants in Japan. That's on the high end. My favorite activity in Japan when I go on business and I have some spare time is just to go to like a very regular ramen place. You'll pay maybe the equivalent of like $10 and you will enjoy some of the best ramen in the world. Other foods. Japan is extremely clean, extremely safe, extremely clean as well. So it's an amazing experience. And when you visit Tokyo, people might be intimidated at first. It's a huge city. Well, it's a fact. It is a huge city, but there are a lot of green spaces in the city. There are many parks. Also, some of the areas, including one of the areas that the group will visit in November, they look like in the old days. They're very peaceful. They're like very traditional. And then you have like ultra modern buildings, technology, and so on. So The area I was referring to is where the Asakusa Kannon Temple is located. It's an old area of the city, so it's fascinating to go there. And during your visit, you will see some of the highlights, including Tokyo Skytree. That's the picture on the left-hand side that you're looking at. This is the world's tallest tower at 634 meters. You will also see Asakusa Kannon Temple. This is the picture right here. There is a nice shopping arcade. It's a very colorful temple. Nice area where you can sample like some local food, street food, buy some souvenirs. You will also visit Ginza. This is the trendiest area of Tokyo with very nice department stores, nice shops. But one of the attractions that you will visit is called Depachika. These are department stores, food courts, typically located in the basements. Have you, Mr. Kim, have you had a chance to? Yes.
Not what you think of any.
No. You think like, a food court. I mean, people go there. It's we're talking about like department stores. I mean, you could spend entire hours. The way the food is presented, the way the food tastes, whether it's like French baked stuff, like French bakeries, pastries. It's super sophisticated. You can get some of the best sushi and so on. So, and again, it's an experience in itself. When we create tours, we actually always include a visit to a Depachika, especially in Ginza, because again, Ginza is known for being home to the best department stores in Tokyo. And you will, of course, see the famous Shibuya crossing. Shibuya is an area, one of the downtown areas of Tokyo. It looks very messy, right? It seems like people are going like in different directions, but it's very orderly. People don't bump into each other, and that's all over Japan. But it's a super busy intersection. And Hakone, that's close to Tokyo. Hakone, generally speaking, Hakone is a national park, and it's a town, and that's where Mount Fuji is located. You will have a tour there. You will visit some of the areas that you will visit include the Fuji Sengen Shrine. It used to be the starting point for people climbing Mount Fuji from the north. Then you will visit the Mount Fuji World Heritage Center. This is a museum dedicated to Mount Fuji. As I mentioned earlier, Mount Fuji is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it's considered like a sacred mountain in Japan for the Japanese people. A very interesting place that you will visit. This is the picture right here, the entrance. It's the Kubota Ichiko Museum. Kubota Ichiko was the artist who revived the lost art of kimono dyeing. He got very interested in doing this, and it's a really, really nice and unique place. And you will also cruise Lake Kawaguchi. There are actually quite a few lakes around the Hakone area, and one of them is called Lake Kawaguchi. So you will go on a cruise. And this is an interesting area called Aizu Wakamatsu. That's the northern part of Japan. It's an off the beaten path location. Not too many people travel there. And one of the reasons we wanted to include it in the itinerary is because, we wanted to show you like the modern phase of Japan. We also wanted to show you the traditional Japan and some interesting historical places. That area, by the way, Aizu Wakamatsu, is very, very, very well known in Japan for its samurai culture. So you'll also enjoy some pristine landscapes around this area. There is a famous Japanese national park called Urabandai. I'll show you some pictures in a few minutes. And the picture on the left-hand side, this is Goshikinuma ponds. Very colorful ponds that were created in the 19th century as a result of the eruption of Mount Bandai. A river was actually blocked, and as a result, several lakes were created. And because of the minerals in the water, they're like multicolor, and the colors will change depending on the weather conditions and the light and so on. But it's a very nice and pleasant walk that you will be able to take. Also, you will visit the famous Suruga Castle. Tsuruga Castle was built in 1384 and it was destroyed. I mean, it changed hands many times. It was destroyed in the Boshin Wars in Japan in 1868. This was a civil war not many people know about. When during like the Meiji Restoration, when Japan decided to modernize itself, there was a lot of opposition from the the disappearing shogun class, right? Who used to run the country. And especially in that area, that again, it was a very big stronghold of the shogun supporters, samurai supporters. They rebelled and they lost. So as a result, the castle was destroyed. You will learn about this history when you travel there. And here is a picture. Actually, I took this picture in Aizu Wakamatsu. This is the Urabandai National Park. And this is the mountain I was talking about that erupted. And as a result of the eruption, these colorful ponds were created. And let me show you a close-up. Can you see? Most of the mountain is gone. And because of that, you can admire these beautiful ponds when you travel there now. Let's briefly talk about the itinerary. And you have brochures in front of you so you can see the details. We're gonna skip like the details, but I'll just mention a few highlights. So you will enjoy daily breakfasts, 5 lunches are included, and 4 dinners as well, including the welcome dinner with geisha and Maiko entertainment. You will have first class train tickets reserved on Japan Railway Express trains. And these trains will be from Kyoto to Hiroshima, Hiroshima to Tokyo, Tokyo to Koriyama when you travel to the Aizu Wakamatsu area, and Koriyama to Tokyo. And we will also use chartered coaches. So you will arrive in Osaka when you come to Japan. Osaka is located roughly 45 minutes away from Kyoto, and you will be moving on to Kyoto, spending a few days there. And we talked about some of the highlights of your visit. Then you will take the bullet train and travel from Kyoto to Hiroshima. You'll spend 1 night in Hiroshima. Now, there has been a change, I believe, in your itinerary, Michelle, right? We had a different property. That property that we originally listed was in Miyajima Island. But because of a festival that will take place there during your visit, we just couldn't confirm the same property. So what we did instead, we booked a hotel across the on the other side of Miyajima Island on the Honshu side. But it's a nice hotel. It's a mix of Western and Japanese hotel overlooking Miyajima Island. I'll show you a few pictures in just a few minutes. So then you will enjoy Hiroshima Miyajima. Then you will be taking the bullet train again, traveling to Tokyo. You will spend a few days in Tokyo. During that time, you will also have a day tour of Hakone. And then you will move north to the Aizu Wakamatsu area and visit some of the highlights there. And one of the highlights will be staying in a ryokan. Ryokan is a traditional Japanese inn. That's an experience in itself. You will be able to enjoy some very, very nice hot springs during your visit. Higashiyama Hot Spring in that area. This is a very famous one. And then you'll come back to Tokyo. And let's briefly talk about the hotels that we have included. So we will use a combination of Western and Japanese style properties. This way you will be able to experience both. In Kyoto, we'll use the New Miyako Hotel, and you will be staying there for 3 nights. The hotel is very conveniently located. It's only a 2-minute walk from Kyoto Station. Kyoto Station, by the way, it's a very interesting structure. There's so many restaurant shops around. If you go like underground, it's like a completely like a new city that was built underground. So there are many options and many opportunities for you to explore on your own as well. That's why we wanted to include a place that's very convenient. Yes,
center of.
yes.
All of the department stores, restaurants, that's where you want to be. So, especially with quality.
And if you think of a train station, you think, well, train, maybe, like train platforms, trains. No, this is like actually like and also like an entertainment center because there are like performances taking place at the train stations. There are like several levels. It's a very, very, very unique place. And again, you will be able to go there from the hotel. It's only gonna take a few minutes. So this is the property I was talking about earlier. Instead of the ryokan on Miyajima Island, this hotel enjoys a great location and provides excellent views of Isukushima Shrine and Miyajima Island. The following morning, you will be able to easily transfer to Miyajima. It's only going to take it's a 10-minute long ferry ride, basically. And this hotel is located only maybe 2 minutes away from the ferry pier terminal. And also, good thing, this hotel has communal baths with natural hot springs, so you'll be able to relax and enjoy with some nice views. And in Tokyo, we're using the Keio Plaza Hotel for 4 nights. This hotel is located in Shinjuku. Shinjuku is the area I mentioned about having the busiest and the largest train station in Japan. So this hotel is a well-established high-rise hotel with over 1,400 rooms, 20 restaurants and bars. And it's only a 5-minute walk from the west exit of Shinjuku Station in central Tokyo. And this is the ryokan, a Japanese inn. It's called Kutsuroji-juku Chiyotaki Ryokan. You'll be spending 1 night there when you travel to the Waizu Akamatsu area. This, by the way, is one of their hot springs on their premises. So it's an amazing experience. You will have a Japanese room. Of course, our guide will be able to explain, the etiquette, the way, you can just. One good thing is in Japan. Are you familiar with yukata? Yukata is a summer kimono. People wear it like in Japan all the time. Sometimes even like in Tokyo, maybe in some old kind of fashion areas, you will find someone walking in a yukata, summer kimono. The good thing in Japan, when you go to like a hot spring area, you can wear them. You can actually have dinner wearing them, and it's super comfortable. They want you to have a good time, relax, and enjoy. So it's very, very nice. I'm sure you'll enjoy this ryokan. They're also known for their excellent service, and service in general in Japan is really superior compared to some other areas. It's just amazing. If you go to any ryokan, any nice hotel, you will experience it firsthand. It's very, very unique. In Japan, they call it omotenashi, the omotenashi spirit, so the hospitality. That's something that's extremely important for the Japanese people. And let me play a short video here. Let me just check my connection first. Sorry. Okay. All right. There you go. It's only like a 3-minute long video. Hopefully you'll enjoy. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. And the bad news is, and I'll be very, very frank with you, when you go to Japan, you will not be satisfied. You will want to see more. You will want to book many more trips because Japan, and I speak for myself, honestly speaking. When you travel to the country, it's a fairly small country, but there is so much to see, so much to experience that this would be like a highlight for you to experience and sample some of what Japan has to offer. But there are many other areas of the country that are easily accessible. The network, bullet train network in Japan is out of this world. It covers basically the entire country. Some of the areas are also can be combined with the trip. So, Michelle, I guess we could do a pre or post trip for you and include some of these areas. One such area is called Gifu Prefecture. It's a landlocked prefecture in central Japan. So you will be in Kyoto, right? You will be in Osaka, flying into Osaka, Kyoto. Gifu is right there, next door. It's a very, very unique destination that can easily be combined with the trip. And it's just one example. There are many other areas. We can always make other recommendations, but let me briefly show you a few highlights of this prefecture. People usually go there to see two famous festivals. They're called Takayama Festival. It actually takes place twice a year, in the spring and then in the autumn. But even if you don't travel there, during the festival dates, you can still visit their local float museum where you see the floats, the festival floats. It's an amazing place. And let me show you this picture. It's called Shirakawago. It's a World Heritage Site, easily accessible from Kyoto, Osaka. The style, it's in the mountains. There is a very heavy snowfall in this area. Thus, the roofs, right? They're called Goshozukuri in Japanese, which means the praying hands. So it's a unique place that can easily be visited. That's what it looks like in the summertime. And then Takayama City, that's another highlight. It's a small city, again, well known for its biannual festival, but also for excellent food, including Hida beef. Hida is a prime beef in Japan, one of the best beef in Japan. Most people are familiar with Kobe beef, but there are many other kinds of beef in Japan. And again, Takayama is one of the most famous areas. These are, by the way, the festival floats that you can see when you visit Takayama. Also, if you would like to experience cormorant fishing, you can do it in Gifu Prefecture as well. It's an ancient fishing method, and they use live cormorants to catch the fish. So it's a very unique experience in this area, and also very famous hot spring. This one is called Gero Hot Spring in the prefecture. Now, all over Japan, you will also find the so-called foot hot springs. So if you walk the street of a small town and if you feel tired, you can just remove your shoes, soak your feet in the water, spend there a few minutes, enjoy some relaxing time, and they'll have like small towels. You wipe your feet and you just continue on. So it's an amazing experience. Some of the highlights include Nakasendo Trail. This is a very unique place. Now, this is an old traveler's road that used to link Kyoto and Edo. Tokyo used to be called Edo. And Nakasendo means basically Central Mountain Road. So today you can either walk or cycle, and you can do like a very short trip. You can do maybe a few miles or longer if you feel like. But it's a very unique and interesting place to experience some of the rural areas, and also if you're into the artisans or like pottery. It's also very, very famous place to experience. I guess we're running out of time. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for allowing me to introduce Japan and the trip. We do, of course, of course.
What Japan is like. And also, if you're used to seeing all these sights and sounds and Europe and America, what you're gonna see is something you have never seen. It's like a totally different environment. So it's a tremendous experience. And you know, one thing that kind of struck me as I'm kind of going through this busy, crazy place with all this lights and sound is that everything is that gets a feel so original. You know, in Japan, nobody honks. You have cars going in very low, nobody honks. In a subway, nobody's actually talking on the phone. And Shinjuku Station,
Yes.
Paul talked about, which has 3 to 4 million years of data going through there. And even at the rush hour, if you go to look at the escalator, everybody's in single file on the left-hand side. That's how Japan is. And every once in a while, you see one person out of line and they'll wait for it. And I would also say, like, all of the places that you can go, it's beautiful. But what's also different about it is in Europe, when you go to these sites, they're all tourists and locals are coming out. In Japan, what you'll find is that all big portion of the people that are actually touring all the sites are actually Japanese. So they love their country, they're everywhere, they're all participating. So you're going to see the locals with their costumes and everything else. So it's a really authentic experience. So what I'll say, you know, I think Paul, it's kind of difficult for you to assess the itinerary that we pick for you, but it truly picks the highlight. You are going to see the best. And I really like JTB. Their people are so attentive and they work so hard for you. So we just consider them an excellent partner. You know, one of the things I can tell you, for example, is the bullet train. In Japan, these bullet trains are always on time. They're never on schedule or ahead of schedule. In fact, one time they were 1 minute late, and the train company put a full-page ad in a national newspaper apologizing that they were 1 minute late. Okay, so what JTB people would do is that literally they would walk you to the platform where you're supposed to be standing. Because these trains, they come and you got a minute to board and that's it. If you miss this, it's gone. So they would literally take you there, line you up. You know, they wait until you all board and they will just bow and send you. And that's kind of the level of service that Paul talked about. Like, I think the level of service that you will experience there is not like anything you see in any of the other countries. And even the little shops, everything is packaged. It's almost serving. Okay, so all that to say that, you know, it is a country that you're going to experience that's unlike anything that you've seen. So you've been there. Am I making this up? Where that's exactly how it is. And then lastly, I'll say this. Japanese population. I don't know what it is now, but I think it's about 118 million people.
It's like 128, 128. Yeah.
Now the biggest three religions are Islam. I think there's also some Christians. Right?
In southern Japan, like
Yeah.
Kyushu, especially around Nagasaki.
Multiple religions. Their philosophy is, you know, in the Shinto religion, which is their original religion, they had 4 million gods. So what's another guy? Right? We'll take them all in, and that's their philosophy. So there's also an interesting level of tolerance there. But if you actually ask a Japanese person, well, where do you go to celebrate your baptism? They go to Shinto shrine because they have the most convenient form of, you can buy all these different kind of things to bless your child. So that's the most popular. So people go to Shinto shrine for their baptisms and daily affairs. Therefore, funerals, they like to do it the Buddhist way because, it's an everlasting circle of life and it's so solemn and so dignified and they love the Buddhist. But when it comes to wedding, they like the Christian wedding, right? So just the way they are polite, but in many ways they're so open, and curious. And when you talk about some of these cuisines and drinks and so on, yeah, they're gonna have amazing sushi. Anything you have here, you're not gonna want to eat it after you come back. But it's not just the Japanese food. They really do a good job, not just in the Michelin type class, but they've got an interesting spin. The Japanese has their own fusion of the curry. It's different, right? The ranch is a little bit different, the whisk is a little bit. So, it's a totally out of body experience. Is I think what I would say your visit to Japan is going to be. And Ingrid and I've been there a couple of times as well, and get a chance to stay behind and explore. So yeah, if you sign waiver, I'll take you to one of the highly concentrated bar areas. There are 400 bars in this one little square block, and you walk in, but when you come out, you're staggering away. So, I hope a lot of you will join us, but I think, in addition to the beautiful sights, I think it's definitely unbelievable.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kim.
So the airfare is an add-on. Right now we're offering it's $2,500 for a airfare economy air from here, from Delta Airlines. We don't have the flight itinerary yet, or it could be Japanese Airlines. They're opening in about 10 days. Because we get 10 months out, we're right on that line right now. So, but we're offering it with the airport transfers at $2,500 per person, or we can give you the flight itinerary. Some people have miles or points and things, they might want to upgrade the first class and get yourself a nice bed, sleep in as you're going over there. That's how we added it as an add-on, because group air is something where when you buy group air, it's like bulk fare, okay? And so you can't upgrade, okay? So the only way that you can do that is to buy your ticket directly to the airline. So, and so that will be an option. We'll be able to price more of that out as it opens up there to you. Do you have $300 for? No, so the $2,500 is inclusive of the round trip transfers. The $300 you see down there is if you want to book your own airline, that would be the transfers if you were needed individual transfers to get that report to the airline. Connie, you have a question?
Sort of, yeah. Did I understand? So all the transportation is done by way of bullet train, or is there some other transportation?
It's actually a combination, the chartered coaches, trains. That's how the group will be moving around in Japan. Yeah.
Oh, and I don't know how big this size is. In the past, we've had a small group that's done this, and I don't expect it to be a huge number of people. Like we're not going to get people 40, or although it'll be a big thing for us, but it's probably going to be closer to the 20.
Yeah,
That's what we're
we'd
thinking.
like to kind of keep the group smaller, probably about 20, 25 as well. Then, it'll be bus, and bullet train is honestly the best way to get around to. So you don't have to clear, kind of security checks walk in, but they're fast. I mean, I think they go
Yes.
270
Yes,
miles an
yeah.
hour.
Yeah.
I know they were working on a new one that was way even
Yes.
faster.
Yeah, it's actually they've been experimenting, but yeah, they're like very super fast and super reliable.
Snow monkeys, he said something.
Oh, snow monkeys. Oh, snow monkeys, yes. That area is called Jigokudani. That's in the Nagano area. But typically a good time to visit the monkeys would be, well, depending on weather conditions, I would say probably from like early December, sometimes like towards the end of November, because otherwise, if you go there, there are like over 200 monkeys living in that area. But if you go there like during like really a nice warm weather, they don't go inside the hot spring. They're doing like the colder.
We would set up appointments with you to get this done. It's a 10% deposit, so 10% of the cost of the trip, that's just the land. If you have an add-on, we're not gonna add another deposit on the year, that's an add-on, so it'd be 10% of the trip, however, I'm offering, since it's the holidays and the new year and all that kind of good stuff, I'm offering that you guys can actually book it in, by the end of January for $250. So make it very affordable. We want to get you to Japan, and so now is a great time to book. And if you want to set up a quicker with, if you're not working with an agent or an advisor right now, these people would be happy to take care of you. And I want to thank Pablo for coming in. He came in from Chicago to do this presentation tonight. Thanks, Tim, for being here.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we appreciate your time tonight, and hope to see you in November. All right, so thank you.
If you have any questions, we'll hang out, so just come in, ask us any other, yes.
Yes.
So.
That's what happens. That's what happens. Yes. Yes. It's, but in Japan, it's part of your culture. It's been there for centuries, up until the Second World War. People actually mix everything. Nowadays, is separated unless you look at private then we'll have a private tax rate, and that's possible too. Then it's at your disposal for.
So I'm curious, not tours, but just organization.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing those, like many transportation and housing. But that we would just take care of what we do.
And that is something Any information in particular?
Well, we like to, my wife is really interested in so the whole northern. So we've been to twice. Once, really, and moving on. Yeah. We've kind of done that going around.
Yes.
More interested in getting.
Well, honestly, Gifu, some of the areas. Let me just show you.
Well, so we work
When also, Gifu prefecture. This is the one I was talking about. That's close to Kyoto. That's very good.
Yeah.
And I think.
And Kanazawa is
Suggestion was now you can also still in caution.
it makes perfect sense, like, I like. Well, let me show you on this map, just one second.
That's right.
Because, itinerary wise, it would make perfect sense.
The rest of the.
Takayama is one of the festival by annual festival, and then you move on to Kanagawa before you make your trip back to Tokyo. So you want to be going the same place twice.
Yeah, we do have a stock.
Depending on your schedule, like the Aquanet, that's one you again. One kind of.
Where's the big?
Yeah, I think now. Now it's a big capital. The big capital is here.
And this is a very response. Very popular, it's one of the best times because.
So anyway, I'm sorry, I can't see. And we've been looking at some of the.
Well, you gotta stay on to it, man. You said this is unfortunately or even related. So,
And I'm not making sure it's not. I see. But Japan has something that's very, very. Spending one night in these areas, kind of, maybe in the yoga.
So they are very knowledgeable.
That's,
Well, that's where you don't see the side. It's just
it's a very, it's a very, wealthy, everybody's also. Super changes. There's so many.
Yeah, China's crazy.
You just go one after another, and, you think like white signal, and then it's. Thank you so much. And again, any questions, I'm sure Michelle will be again. Will be there to answer. We had
Three local people talking.
it's an average test of Polish. Yes. And we come, we calculate it, just like in Germany, right? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
I don't know. You have a very big turnout. Yes.
Sure you answered all Christine's questions.
Excellent, I'm ready for more, so.
Noting the discrepancy. Don't tell me.
That's excellent, so it's very.
Then it becomes quite more expensive. 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like if you were booking it, different. There's 250.
For transit.
300. For me, picking up at the airport to downtown and then out to the airport. Yeah.
It's quite a distance from Osaka Airport.
Okay.
About 50 miles, right?
It's here, yeah, it's like 40, I mean, depending on traffic conditions, it takes approximately, well, up to an hour. So to transfer.
Yes. We paid up 300 and we still get that the transfer.
I think they're staying longer. Yeah. We can work that out. So maybe try to get that.
Or I guess, you can work it out, right, because you will be moving on to a different destination, right? And then, but then you still need to be transferred to the airport, whether it's Tokyo or Osaka, right? So maybe it will be.
So.
That approximately works out to if you were taking taxes. So you could always take a tax out, but it'll cost you the same.
Yeah.
At least you want to do your own thing.
That's the company, right? Like, sorry, she went there.
It's just something entirely shop. By the guy, which I would recommend at least, if you decided to visit some of the areas, it'll be nice to have a guide. Now you don't have to have a guide 24 hours a day, like local guide. So someone who can meet you at your hotel, say in the morning, spend maybe 6-7 hours with you, and then bring you back to your hotel, then you can enjoy. It's entirely up to you. It will be a customized trip. So again, depending on your interests, depending on how much time you have, we can.
Yeah, the other couple was asking me about that too. So depending on if there's some destinations that a number of people want to go, maybe we can try to put something together. Multiple people, then you can save some money too. And share. Someone. Hey, what's supposed to be there? You know. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then you travel. And that's why I missed the to get to Amber.
That was a good, nice get together. Everybody, you want to go home? Yeah.
Because your pictures were on.
Yeah, that's right. I got that one.
And then I got an implant.
I thought yesterday.
Every time you get an implant,
And recovering with somebody, yeah.
it's a dental implant.
I got one. Right, the office.
So I was waiting for it.
She said, oh,
Nothing happened.
what you know.
Are you okay?
That's a good thing. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so. Yeah, count your blessings. I know.
We didn't hear all the details, but I didn't see any chance.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a little disappointed about that.
Those, Keisha, the performance has some participation aspects. Yeah. Well, they had some games and stuff.
The star, okay. You can start on my side.
Nothing really better.
But we are signing up for the merger.
Okay. Okay, you have to sign a waiver, and so, in case you get totally drunk. But they're all little bars, but every bar has some special. Like, like it'll be whatever, especially Russian vodka, certain types of whiskey,
Okay.
it's all different.
We better have little, those little. Gotcha.
That's right, that's right.
Because I'll be serving you.
Yeah, I will go to make sure that.
Somebody needs to trail.
Yeah, I'll be the back of them.
Yeah.
Yes, so in January, we can get together.
No,
I know Rick's free.
I don't know if you can put up with it.
Oh, wow, good luck. Question and you're like.
I hope you guys like sushi. You like sushi? No. No?
I'm willing to try anything and everything.
You know, it was so embarrassing in Japan, because he would be eating sushi and he would make like this morning salad. Got movies and stuff.
Funny, yeah. And, oh, I saw there's a cooking class on this.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
Come back and.
But I